Hola clase, ¿cómo están ustedes? Hoy vamos a hacer saber or conocer. So today we're going to talk about saber or conocer. So it kind of follows the theme of what we're doing this chapter. So we just did a lesson on ser or a star, which both mean to be. Well, saber and conocer both mean to know. So this can be a little bit confusing. So we're going to go through when you use saber and when you use conocer. I'll give you a couple tricks that make it a little bit easier. But obviously practice is the best way to figure out how to do this. And again, if you are just learning Spanish and you're speaking with a native, more than likely they're not going to give you a hard time about saber or conocer, and they'll probably just correct you. And that is the best way to learn, is using it incorrectly and having somebody correct you. So either way, your point will get across. So saber and conocer are both irregular in the yo form. So I know most of you have probably heard no sé, yo no sé, which means I don't know. So it can be a little bit difficult to remember that sé comes from saber, and conocer is conozco. So from here on out, though, the rest is conjugated like a regular ER verb. Sabes, conoces, sabe, conoce, sabemos, conocemos, sabáis, conocáis, saben, and conocen. So besides the yo form, the rest of them are conjugated. They follow the pattern of a regular ER verb. So we'll talk about when you use them. So saber means to know in the sense of knowing facts or a specific bits of information. When followed by an infinitive, it expresses to know how to do something. So I know Italian. Yo sé italiano. I know how to speak Italian. Yo sé hablar italiano. So the example I have here is español. So yo sé hablar español. I know how to speak Spanish. So that's what it was talking about in the second half when you express knowing how to do something. And it is followed by an infinitive. So I have the infinitive underlined. So just so you know, an infinitive is the verb before it's conjugated. So for example, saber is in its infinitive form. When I conjugate it to the yo form, it changes to say. Maria sabe que la capital de Peru es Lima. So Maria knows that the capital of Peru is Lima. So that's knowing information. So with saber, remember it's knowing how to do something and knowing information. Conocer expresses familiarity or acquaintance with people, places, and things. When used with people, it can also mean to meet for the first time, depending on the context. So you can say, Yo conozco a Juan. So I'm familiar with Juan. So it's just the difference between saying I know Juan is what we would probably say in English, or saying I'm familiar with Juan, right? The other example, Marisol conoce la ciudad de Madrid. So this one's a little bit more confusing. Marisol is familiar with the city of Madrid. She doesn't know Madrid. She's familiar with the city. So she's familiar with how to navigate it. You know, she's visited before. Maybe she lives there. So that's the difference between the two. And the more we practice, the easier it'll get for you. So vamos a practicar ahora. So you have this part on your cheat sheet. So um, las direcciones dice indica el uso de saber y conocer en cada una de las oraciones. So indicate whether you would use saber or conocer in each of the following phrases. So you're going to mark A, B, C, D, E, F. So if you just want to take a second to do that, and then I will give you las respuestas. So for numero uno, conozco a tu papá. So I'm familiar with your dad. So a good one to remember this one, anytime you see the letter A, the personal A, which doesn't exist in English, when you see it in the sentence, you automatically know that you're going to use conocer. So for this one, you should have put E, knowing people, or A, as they would say in Spanish. Número dos, sabemos dónde vives. We know where you live. So that's knowing information, right? So you would have put A. Número tres, ellos conocen la ciudad de Nueva York. They are familiar with the city of New York. So that's having familiarity of a place or having been to a place. Número cuatro, hoy voy a conocer al nuevo profesor. F, right? Because today you are going to meet the new professor. Meeting somebody for the first time, you use conocer. So, número cinco, no sé la respuesta correcta. I don't know the correct answer. So here you would have, I don't think you have all the right things on the right hand side, but you do have them on your paper and the screen before. So you would have used A, knowing facts or specific bits of information. Número dos, or número seis, you would have had B, ustedes saben bailar la salsa. You know how to dance the salsa. So anytime, remember, you have an infinitive after saber, or an infinitive, even if you had a guess between conocer and saber, if you have an infinitive, you know that that's when you're going to use saber. Número siete, conozco las películas de Javier Bardem. So that's being familiar with something. So are you familiar with Javier Bardem's movies? Número ocho, sé hablar japonés. So I know how to speak Japanese. Again, it's knowing how to do something. So you would have selected B. Número nueve, sé que te gusta esta clase. I know that you like this class. So that would be letter A, knowing facts or specific bits of information. Número 10, ¿conoces los poemas de Poe? So do you know Poe's poems? So you would say C, being familiar with something, so conocer. Número 11, ellos saben que tú eres antipático. They know that you are not nice. So letter A, saber, knowing facts or specific bits of information. Y número 12, vosotros conocéis Florida. You all know Florida. So that's being familiar with the place. So you'd put D. So vamos a poner en práctica. We're going to put this into practice. So this isn't on your cheat sheet. So you're going to pick between conocer and saber. Yo conozco la ciudad de Buenos Aires. So you're familiar with cities, right? So that's why it's conocer. Y Buenos Aires es la capital de Argentina. Blank, ella blank que el plato paella es española. She knows that that paella is a Spanish dish. Ella sabe que el plato paella es española. She knows that paella is a Spanish dish because that's knowing information. Yo blank que ellos viven en Italia. Yo sé que ellos viven en Italia. I know that they live in Italy. That's knowing information, so that's why you would have used saber. Bea blank hacer el yoga. Bea sabe hacer el yoga. So, like I said before, I underlined it for you. This is an infinitive. So automatically, if you see an infinitive, you know you don't even have to think about it. You're going to choose saber. So that kind of eliminates some confusion sometimes. It all depends. Spanish can be difícil. So, todo el mundo, blank al Jorge Ramos. Todo el mundo means everyone, so everyone is familiar with Jorge Ramos. And so you should have picked conoce, but one of the key things is you have the letter A, the personal A in Spanish, and that indicates automatically that you would use conocer. So on your paper next, you have 1 through 18. So go ahead and take a little bit of time to do that. And we'll go over las respuestas. Many of these that you'll see here are going to be on your quiz on Connect as well. Okay, so número uno. Yo conozco a Juan y Maria. So note that you have the a right after the option of picking the two, so that automatically indicates that you would use conocer. Número dos. Yo sé tu nombre. I know your name. That's knowing information is why you'd use saber. Número tres. Maria sabe donde vivo. Maria knows where I live. That's knowing information, so you would use saber. Número cuatro. Ellos no saben esquiar. So here again, you have the infinitive of a verb of knowing how to do something. They don't know how to ski, so you would use saber. Número cinco. Mario conoce un restaurante bueno. Mario is familiar with a good restaurant. Número seis. Ella conoce Bogotá. She's familiar with Bogotá, que es la capital de Colombia. Número siete. Yo conozco el parque. I'm familiar with the park. Número ocho. Mi papá conoce a tu papá. So again, I underlined A for you to indicate, let you know that it indicates that you automatically use conocer. Número nueve. ¿Sabes tú el nombre de un cantante español? Do you know the name of a Spanish singer? And I guess, quite frankly, you probably could say conoces. Are you familiar with any Spanish speakers, singers? So this one, I always think there's a couple that are up for debate, but either way, you would get your point across to your native Spanish speaker. Número 10. ¿Conoce ella la ciudad de Madrid? Is she familiar with Madrid? Número 11. La profesora conoce la música española. The professor is familiar with Spanish music. Número 12. Juan sabe cocinar. So here again, you have the verb in the infinitive, which indicates you would use saber. Número 13. Nosotros sabemos hablar español. The hablar in the infinitive indicates that you would use saber. Yo sé bailar el tango. Again, bailar is the infinitive, which indicates that you would use saber. Número 15. Mi hermana conoce a Maria bien. My sister is very familiar with Maria, or knows Maria well is another way you could say that. Again, you have the personal a that's there, so that indicates that you would use conocer. Ellos no conocen a Juanito. Número 17. Yo sé que la capital de Puerto Rico es San Juan. I know that the capital of Puerto Rico is San Juan. So that's knowing information. You know that that's the capital. It's different than being familiar with a city. Nosotros conocemos la ciudad de Madrid. We are familiar with Madrid. So I hope these examples help you out. Again, remember it's practice that makes perfect, and the more you practice, perhaps the more mistakes you will make, but in the long run, eventually you will learn it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And buena suerte. Good luck. Nos vemos.